Hi golfers, David Reckless from Reckless Golf. Today I'm here at the Dural Golf Range, which is my home base, and the range is a great place for me to help people with their golf swing, also club fitting, and I also like to build my own clubs, so I have total control over what's going on. The case study we're going to talk about is John, one of my pupils. John came to me about 18 months ago. He was complaining of slicing his driver. John played off a 24 handicap at a local golf company. He played twice a week. So he plays a fair bit of golf, which is good. So he's able to improve, but he was having a lot of trouble with his driver. Now in that lesson we found he was using a 10.5 degree driver, and John's around about 60 years of age and doesn't swing the golf club very fast, and he was complaining of hitting a high slice to the right. And that's because when he was swinging the golf club, because he didn't have enough loft on the club, he was hitting up on the ball. So hitting up on the ball will make the ball go high and to the right. So what we found was that he didn't have enough loft on his driver. And we went through a process of fitting a new driver for him. And we fitted him into a Tour, which is a straight neck club, 15.5 degree driver. Now a lot of people think that's a 3-wood. Well, it's the length of the shaft that gives you the club head speed, and it's the loft of the club face that gives you your launch angle. Now John hit the ball very, very straight. He didn't hit it very high. In fact, he actually hit it lower than his 10.5 because he wasn't hitting up on the ball now. His club at impact was actually pretty well 15.5, actually a little bit lower. He was actually launching the ball at about 14 degrees with a 15.5 degree driver. So his golf swing was starting to improve. And what he experienced doing that was hitting the ball a lot straighter, a lot lower, and he actually was gaining about 15 metres through the air. Now, John came back to me 2 weeks ago. John came back and was saying that he had a few issues with his golf swing. And after we actually fitted him for the driver, we took him through our 30 Days to Better Golf program, where we spend 12 hours with you on the range and also on the course. And we spent a lot of time with John on the course. So we actually worked a lot on his short game and his shot selection and his distance control. And his handicap came from 24 down to 18. And as I said, he came back about 2 weeks ago. His handicap slipped back out to about 20, and he's having a few problems. One of the problems found was the driver I gave him was good, but he could actually do a little bit better, and it was mainly the head design was the problem. As I said, we fitted him into a 15.5 degree straight neck, okay? And what we found was, this is a great product I've started working with over the last 12 months. It's from a company called KZG or KZG in America. This is an offset head and it's 12 degrees. It's called the SP OSX. And we gave him a try of that, and we found that he actually hit the ball a little stronger off the club face. So his irons were offset, but his woods weren't. And as you know these days, there's not many companies out there offering an offset driver or offset fairway woods. So what we did was he traded in his old golf club for the new one, so we made it cost effective for him so he didn't have to spend a fortune. And he's now hitting his 12 degree with a lot more confidence and a little further. So with his 12 degree offset, he's launching the ball at about 11 degrees, so he's hitting the ball a little bit lower, but he's also getting a little bit more carry, so it's a better product for him. One of John's other complaints was that he was hitting his irons off to the left, and we really hadn't discussed his irons over that time. We more looked at his short game and his driving, so we had a look at his golf swing. We found his golf swing was pretty good. It wasn't too bad. Making his golf swing better wasn't really going to help him anymore because, you know, John's at a stage where he's pretty ingrained in what he does. But his biggest complaint was he was hitting his irons off to the left. And what we found was that his lie angles were too upright. So his club was hitting the ground like this, which he experienced hitting the ball in the neck of the club, and his balls were curving off to the left. And the golf swing wasn't too bad. Now, we could have changed his golf swing to make him hit the ball better, but the problem was it wasn't going to be a better swing, it was going to be a worse swing. So we're getting the swing more from the inside to the outside, and he started hitting the ball pretty weak to the right, so I didn't want him to do that. I wanted him to get this nice solid contact. And what we found was his irons were just far too upright. And if you go to my YouTube channel, Reckless Golf, you'll also see I have a part 4 video sequence of what the lie angle is and how it affects the curvature of your golf shots, but also how it affects how you hit the ball on the club face. So what we did, we went through a series of clubs and found out what he really needed. Now his lie angle, he needs 7 degrees flat. Now not many manufacturers do that these days, so we had a bit of a problem. The stainless steel heads can only be bent to about 3 to 4 degrees flat or 3 to 4 degrees upright. So we had to go to what we call a forged club. So it's a mild steel club. And what we chose was, from KZG we found the MO1 was the best head design. There's 3 types of head designs in this model. The ME1, which is more of a right influence head, so it's not very offset and quite small. And then we go to the MA1, which is a little bit more offset and a little bit larger in the head. And then we went to the MO1, which is offset even more, so more left influence and a lot heavier. And we found a heavier golf club was much better for him. The other thing, the beauty of working with the forged club is we're able to bend it 8 degrees flat or 8 degrees upright. So it's quite pliable. And the beauty with that is that if John's swing changes over the next couple of years, we're able to just put it in the loft and lie machine and just adjust it to suit. So that was one of the beauties working with this product. One of the probably the downsides of this product is that it wears. And to give you an example, one of the young fellows that we teach last year playing on the mini circuits in the USA, he wore his wedges out over about 4 months. But keep in mind, he's doing it all day, every day. So John will probably see these wear over the next 10 years. So he might enjoy his golf for the next 10 years having a club that fits him properly. So we found that he was 7 degrees flat in the lie angle. We also found that by putting a little bit more loft on the head, so we're going to weaken the lofts by 2 degrees, he hit the ball a little bit more higher on the face, which gave him a little bit more elevation. Because when you actually bend the lie angle flatter, the trajectory gets a little lower. So we actually went 2 degrees more up, and he's hitting the ball more in the centre of the club face. The shaft we chose, he likes weight. And the problem with these other irons is that they're too light. And this is a thing that's happening these days, is they're making a lot of golf clubs a lot lighter. Now that might suit some golfers, but it doesn't suit all golfers. And we found that with a lighter club, his tempo was a little bit faster, which wasn't giving him good contact. So we found as we made the club a little heavier, it actually worked his tempo out a bit better and he hit the ball a lot cleaner. Now the shaft we chose for him, and this was through a series of hitting golf shots with the shafts I have in my fitting kit, we found a true temper shaft, and it's called the release shaft, which has a low kick point, and that means that'll hit the ball up in the air a little higher again. We found the high kick point shaft, just hit it too low, and he wasn't getting enough distance with it. The flex of the shaft was not overly important, and I don't really worry about what's regular and stiff and light flex or seniors flex or ladies flex. I found the shaft in my bag that worked the best was this one. So what we're doing is we're going to make this shaft exactly the same as the shaft I have in my fitting kit. That's a big problem, because when you go to demo days, and I've seen this happen a lot, people try a club at a demo day and they hit the ball really, really well. And when they order that club and it comes in, they have trouble hitting it. And they wonder why. And the question they have to me is, how come I've ordered this golf club the same as the one I tried and I can't hit it? Well, the problem is that it's not the same club. The shaft isn't the same as the one that was in the demo. So you really should have bought the demo instead of actually ordering another one. So this shaft is exactly the same as the one that John hit on the range, and we went through a series of different shafts and found this one to be the best for him. Okay? Alright, so what we do, let's go through the club building process. And the reason I'm a little bit old school and is because I like to control what's going to happen. And last week I was rewarded by being named in the top 100 club fitters in the world, which was a thrill and nice thing to be rewarded after 20 years of being a PGA golf professional, and all the hard work and the research and development I've done over those years, it's nice to get a little bit of a reward for that. When clubs are built by the big manufacturers, they're mass produced. So they're not checking everything. I like to check everything. And the reason I do that is because then I am actually responsible. So I'm responsible from the golf swings point of view as a golf coach. I'm responsible from the fitting point of view, from fitting the golf club. And then I'm responsible for giving him the golf club I fitted him to. So I like to have control over what I do. So then I'm responsible. So if there's any problems, we can change things. And as I said, the beauty of working with this KZG product is being able to change the lying or long term and not breaking it. Stainless steel is not as pliable as the forged. But again, sometimes we hit the stainless steel better than the forged. But in John's case, he hit this much better than the other clubs. So what do? Well, I order the heads from the factory in Hollywood and they get sent out by UPS. I ordered the shafts from my good friend Jared down in Melbourne. He has a company called Golf Imports and he deals a lot with different brands of shafts. And we ordered these shafts for John. Let me grab a steel shaft. And what we've done is in his set we're going to have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pitching sand wedge. That's the irons we've chosen for him in the set. So I've ordered basically 7 shafts and they should really be the same. Unfortunately they're not because they're mass produced. So what I do is I weigh the shafts on the scales and it gives me a reading. Now I have John's 5-iron here and the shaft weight was 118.5 grams. In the 7 shafts, 4 of them were the same. The 6th shaft was 119.5 grams and the 7th shaft was 122 grams. So in 7 shafts, only 4 were exactly the same. Now you might think that's a problem, but I can actually use that pretty easily. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the heavier shaft in the sand iron, and the reason I do that is to try and get the swing weight, the balance between the head and the grip right. And I'll use my swing weight scales for this process. Now that's a club builder's tool, making sure the clubs balance all the way through the set. I don't use swing weight in club fitting. It's not really important. But it's more important in the sense to making sure the clubs balance all the way through the set. I put the 119.5 gram shaft, the next heaviest shaft, in the pitching wedge, and all the 118.5s in the 9, 8, 7, 6 and 5 irons. So I've weighed all the shafts to make sure I know which shaft is which. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take from the tip end first. This will actually give me the flex of the shaft. And the one that was in my fitting kit, we actually had taken 2 inches off the bottom of the tip for the 5-iron. So I've taken 2 inches off the bottom of the tip of the club for the 5, 2.5 for the 6, 3 for the 7, 3.5 inches for the 8, 4 inches for the 9, 4.5 inches for the wedge, and then I actually took 5 inches for the sand wedge because it actually has a deeper hosel. So we wanted to make sure the pitching wedge and the sand wedge were exactly the same flex. Also, the heavier the shaft, the stiffer it plays. So a dynamic golf shaft can be up to 135 grams. So that's for someone who needs a really heavy shaft. In this case, these will work out to be, at the end of the day, about 110 grams, which John played with really well. So we've weighed the shafts, we've taken the tip off the shaft, then what we're going to do is rough the end of the shaft up, put the epoxy in and the ferrule, and glue the shafts. Now I use 24-hour araldite, okay, because I trust it. 5-minute araldite, I don't really trust a lot, but the 24-hour araldite I've been using for 20 years and trust it thoroughly. It's all about confidence in what you're doing. So now that I have those clubs all glued, which I did yesterday, I'm now going to go through, and the grip that John chose was the Golf Pride in red, the Tour Wrap 2G. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to weigh every grip, just to see if they're the same. If not, I can actually